A loud explosion lit up the sky near Israel's northern border just before midnight. Within minutes, it was clear. This was no accident. Iran had launched a direct attack on Israel. For years, both sides exchanged threats and carried out secret operations. But this time, it was open and official. This was a powerful retaliation. The question now, is this the beginning of a much larger war? Just hours ago, Iran fired several missiles and drones directly toward Israeli military targets. The attacks happened late at night, with sirens going off in several Israeli cities, especially in the north, near Haifa and Tel Aviv. According to early reports from Israeli media and defense officials, the Iranian missiles were aimed at air bases and key intelligence centers. Some missiles were intercepted mid-air by Israel's Iron Dome defense system, but a few did manage to hit the ground. The Iranian state news agency confirmed the strike, calling it a necessary and lawful response to what they claimed was an earlier Israeli airstrike that killed Iranian advisors in Syria. Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, IRGC, said this attack was just the beginning, suggesting that more could follow if Israel continues its actions. Eyewitnesses on the ground in Israel described panic and confusion. In Tel Aviv, residents rushed into bomb shelters. Videos on social media showed flashes of light as air defenses tried to stop the incoming missiles. Hospitals were put on high alert, though as of now, there are no confirmed reports of large civilian casualties. However, damage to buildings and military property is being assessed. Israeli military sources were quick to respond, saying they are fully prepared and treating this as a major act of aggression. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has called for an emergency meeting with his security team. Defense Minister Yoav Gallant issued a short but firm statement saying, "We will respond at a time and place of our choosing." The United Nations has also issued an urgent warning. The Secretary General has asked both countries to show restraint and avoid dragging the region into full-scale war. But with both nations standing firm, the path to peace looks more difficult than ever. Reports also suggest that Hezbollah, a group backed by Iran in Lebanon, might get involved. Israeli defense analysts are worried that this could lead to a multi-front war, especially if other groups in Gaza or Syria join the fight. Border troops have been placed on high alert, and air traffic has been restricted in certain zones. International airlines have started canceling or rerouting flights going over Israeli airspace. Oil prices have jumped slightly, showing how even a few missiles can shake the global economy. The world is watching, and many leaders are trying to calm the situation behind the scenes. Right now, it's not clear if this was a single warning strike or the beginning of something much worse. What is clear is that the long shadow of war has once again returned to the Middle East. This attack didn't come out of nowhere. It was the result of weeks, some would say years, of rising tension between Iran and Israel. But what exactly pushed Iran to strike now? It all started with a deadly airstrike that happened just days earlier in Damascus, Syria. A top building used by Iranian military advisors was hit by a precision-guided bomb. 7 people were killed, including 2 high-ranking officers from Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps. Iran blamed Israel immediately. Though Israel didn't officially claim responsibility, experts say the method and target matched Israel's past operations. In Syria, Iran had warned that it would not let this go unanswered. To understand this moment, we need to look at the bigger picture. Iran and Israel have been locked in a shadow war for years. This means they have often attacked each other through secret operations, cyber warfare, and using allies in neighboring countries. Israel has repeatedly struck targets in Syria, trying to stop weapons from reaching Hezbollah, a group supported by Iran. At the same time, Iran has helped build up armed groups in Lebanon, Iraq, and Yemen who are hostile to Israel. Iran sees Israel as a threat, especially after Israel made new defense deals with the United States and some Arab countries. For Iran, The recent airstrike in Damascus crossed a red line. Their military leaders were not just advisors, they were seen as national heroes. Iran's supreme leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, called their deaths a crime and vowed revenge. This retaliation wasn't just about revenge, it was also meant to send a message. Iran wants to show the world, and especially its enemies, that it won't stay silent anymore. By launching missiles directly at Israel, Iran is saying it will not rely only on its allies like Hezbollah or the Houthis to do its fighting. It's stepping forward with its own military power. Inside Iran, the government is also facing pressure from its own people. After weeks of protests and economic problems, leaders in Tehran want to appear strong. They believe showing military strength will unite the country and shift attention away from domestic issues. State TV in Iran is now playing dramatic footage of the missile launches, calling it a historic move. But Iran's decision to strike Israel directly is risky. It breaks an unspoken rule both sides followed for years, keeping their fight mostly quiet and away from open war. That's why many experts fear this could lead to a dangerous cycle. Israel will likely hit back, and Iran may answer again. With each strike, the chance of full war grows. This moment shows how quickly events can turn deadly in the Middle East. One strike in Syria has led to missiles flying over Israel. And now, the world is waiting to see who moves next, and whether the path to peace has been lost. Israel is now in full military alert. The moment Iranian missiles were detected crossing into Israeli airspace, the country's powerful Iron Dome defense system was activated. Sirens echoed across major cities, from Haifa in the north to Jerusalem and Tel Aviv. People rushed into bomb shelters, and air raid alerts kept going throughout the night. The Israeli public is tense, but this time, they know the threat is coming. Directly from Iran, not just from nearby groups like Hamas or Hezbollah. In response, the Israeli government has moved fast. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu called an emergency meeting with his war cabinet, a special team of top security and defense leaders. After the meeting, he issued a public statement. "We will not be silent. We will not tolerate aggression. Israel is ready to defend itself and respond with force." His words made it clear. Israel will strike back. The Israel Defense Forces, IDF, have already begun preparing for what they are calling Operation Iron Retaliation. Although official plans have not been released, military sources say Israel is ready to target strategic locations inside Iran, such as missile sites, command centers, and drone factories. Fighter jets have been deployed to Israel's northern border and Air Force bases are on high alert. Beyond military action, Israel is also reaching out to allies. The U.S. Secretary of Defense spoke with his Israeli counterpart just hours after the attack. The United States has already moved warships closer to the region and confirmed its full support for Israel's right to defend itself. It's clear that if the situation gets worse, the U.S. could be pulled deeper into this crisis. Inside Israel, public safety measures have been tightened. Schools in the northern parts of the country have been closed, and all major public events have been canceled for the week. The IDF has started evacuating civilians from areas close to Lebanon and Syria, fearing that Iran-backed Hezbollah might also launch attacks in support of Iran. Police and emergency services have been placed on high alert. The Israeli people are used to living under the threat of rocket fire, but this time feels different. There's a growing sense that this isn't just another round of short-term violence. Even political leaders who normally disagree are standing together, calling this an act of war. Many fear that the next Israeli strike won't be limited. It could push the two nations into a serious, long-lasting conflict. There are also whispers of a cyber response. Israel is one of the world's leaders in cyber warfare, and experts believe they might launch digital attacks on Iran's nuclear facilities or power grid. These attacks wouldn't make headlines in the same way as airstrikes, but they could do serious damage and send a message without escalating into full war. As Israel plans its next move, the world is watching closely. The country now stands at a crossroads. It can choose a limited military response aimed at restoring deterrence, or it can strike hard and risk turning this into a broader regional conflict. For now, the message from Israel is clear. This attack will not go unanswered. World is now holding its breath. The attack from Iran and the rising threat of a strong Israeli response have sent shockwaves far beyond the Middle East. International leaders are scrambling to prevent what many fear could become a full-blown war between two of the most powerful forces in the region. In Washington, President of the United States held an emergency briefing with top defense and intelligence officials. The White House released a statement condemning Iran's attack and reaffirming its ironclad support for Israel's security. American forces in the region have already been placed on high alert. 2 U.S. Navy warships are moving closer to the eastern Mediterranean, and U.S. fighter jets have been spotted patrolling near Israeli airspace. The United Nations Security Council called an urgent meeting, during which several countries expressed deep concern about the growing crisis. Some members, like Russia and China, urged both sides to de-escalate. Others, especially from Europe, offered to help mediate. The UN Secretary-General made a direct appeal to both Iran and Israel, saying, "One more step forward may lead to total collapse. We need restraint, not revenge." NATO also issued a warning that if this conflict spreads to include American or European interests, they may be forced to act. And in neighboring countries like Jordan, Lebanon, and Syria, military forces have begun repositioning, fearing the conflict may spill across their borders. Already, reports from the Lebanese border suggest that Hezbollah fighters have begun mobilizing, preparing for what could become a multi-front war against Israel. Oil prices have surged on global markets, crossing the $100 per barrel mark for the first time in over a year. Investors fear that if this war disrupts shipping lanes or oil production in the region, the economic impact could be felt around the world. In response, major countries have begun tapping into emergency reserves, trying to calm the markets and avoid panic. Airlines across the world are canceling flights to and from Tel Aviv, and several carriers have rerouted international paths to avoid the skies above Iran, Iraq, and Syria. Embassies in Tel Aviv and Tehran are on high alert, with many diplomats being evacuated or relocated for safety. Inside both Iran and Israel, civilians are deeply worried. In Iran, many fear that Israeli bombs could target critical infrastructure or even nuclear facilities. In Israel, families are packing emergency bags, unsure if the next siren will come in hours or days. People are asking, how did we get here, and how do we get out? Still, behind closed doors, there are signs of diplomacy at work. Oman and Qatar, 2 countries with ties to both Iran and the West, are reportedly speaking with leaders on both sides, trying to broker a temporary ceasefire. There's also quiet pressure from Saudi Arabia and the UAE, who fear that war could destroy years of progress toward stability in the region. The next 48 hours are critical. If Israel launches a major strike on Iranian soil, it could ignite a war unlike anything the region has seen in years. If instead both countries agree to stop for now, even just for talks, it may give the world a small chance to pull them back from the edge. But peace will not be easy. Too much blood has already been spilled, too many threats have already been made, and with every passing minute, the cost of war rises: lives, homes, economies, futures. The world now waits and watches. Will this be remembered as the spark that lit a massive war, or the moment leaders stepped back and chose peace?